I had to meet this man real quick, and he had I presumed it was a tax hearing because it was very difficult to understand what was going on until I got into the open court. And even the judge had a hard time understanding. The judge even said, "What in the world is the IRS doing in my court?"
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, tell him a little bit about that, Mr. Ewing.
Well, what was interesting is I got into the court, and when we got there, the judge had not even opened the folder to look and see what he was looking at. You could tell. And he asked the prosecution, "How much are you indicting this man for, accusing him that he owes?" And the prosecutor said, "I don't know." "Well, don't you have the summary in front of you?" "No, I'll get it to you on Monday." And because I'm a novice at this, I didn't object to it, but they seemed to be as confused as they could be.
Yeah, because the man brought me out there for a tax issue, and what I was looking at is like the paperwork he was sending me made no sense because he wasn't in the United States tax court. He was in the United States district court. And I said, I figured he wasn't telling me everything. I figured, like even the judge said, "Oh, what is the IRS doing in a district court? Is this a criminal matter?" And that's what I thought it was, a criminal matter. What are we doing here for a civil matter, the judge said. And that's what I said to the man as well. What are we doing here? You're saying this is civil. Why are we here? The IRS would bring you in here if this was criminal. What are we doing in a district court? We're not in the United States tax court. We're in the United States district court. What's going on? So even the judge said that to the IRS, the attorney. And he said, "Well, we have a judgment that we got administratively to the IRS, but the IRS does not have enforcement powers. They don't have guns. They can't come throw the man out of the house. They have to go get an order from a court that has the authority to place the order in the hands of the U.S. Marshals and throw this man out of his house." So that was interesting.
And what makes it even more interesting is they've opened it up where I can do interrogatories, inquests, disposition, call witnesses, and do everything that's necessary to validate their complaint. But the judge said that they had a claim within the complaint, but he was BSing because he wasn't correct. And so it was just a masquerade, charade.
They can have a claim within a complaint. They could have a banana inside of the complaint. They could have a polar bear. They could have anything they wish to call it, but it's not a proper claim that's recognized in common law.
Okay.
Okay, they could have anything they want. They could define it any way they want. They could have Jesus Christ in their complaint, but it doesn't mean that that's the Jesus Christ.
Right.
They could put anything they want in it and call it anything they want. It's their creation. It's their baby. They could call it whatever they want. They could say there's a claim inside of this complaint, which sounds ridiculous. Why would you put a claim inside of a complaint? Why do you put a complaint inside of a complaint? It doesn't make any sense. In common law, they're completely opposite.
Well, what's so fascinating is they gave us a year to play with it.
Yeah, that's what's funny. The prosecutor wanted to move in 1 month against this man and kick him out of his house and get the U.S. Marshals to... They just want to punish this man because he did a lot of Patriot stuff. And they're just going to try to teach him a lesson. So I'd like to see how the IRS took other people's houses, if they took other people's houses. Because the way that this IRS attorney was describing it in open court, he was saying that we can't do it. Not without a court order from the United States District Court, we can't do it. We don't have the enforcement power here at the IRS. All we have is administrative. We don't have enforcement. So that kind of made sense. I mean, that totally makes sense to me. I knew that forever. They're just administrative. They're just a collection agency. And just because a collection agency gets a judgment against you doesn't mean that they have the right to come in with a gun and kick you out of your house. They're going to have to get a court order. and then you have to get the marshals, the sheriff, to come in with the guns and throw you out. So it's funny, when I went into court with him, the judge said something funny when this man, Mr. Ewing, said the other side was trying to make Mr. Ewing look like a tax protester, like a crazy guy. And the judge said, everybody has to pay taxes. Everybody has to pay their taxes. And
in the Americas, in America.
Yeah, but what's funny is that you said, yeah, but if you take my house, you're going to harm a man. And then the judge said, well, you still have a tax liability that you failed to pay. To me, that's apples and horseshoes. It has nothing to do with each other. There's not even a comparison. It's like, look, make it simple. If you execute this final judgment that IRS got from their tax court upon me, I'm a man, and you're going to cause me harm. And the judge is like, well, there's a tax, there's a tax ruling against you, and you failed to pay it. Sir, that's not what I just said. What I said is you're going to cause me harm. He says, well, you owe a debt. And one more time, sir. You're going to cause me harm. Well, you owe a debt. What does one have to do with the other? Nothing. You're going to hurt me. You're going to harm me because I owe a debt. No, not in this country. You got to forgive me my trespass. You got to forgive me my debt. You can't cause me harm. That's not your job. Your job wasn't to be placed on a bench and cause harm to man. Your job was placed on a bench to be a benefit to man, not to harm man. So how is the United States of America or the IRS going to be harmed if they don't take my house away from me?
Well, if they don't even know the amount that's owed, they
take my widget. They take my no cent, no dollar, whatever widget. They take anything from me. They take a breath from me. They take a heartbeat from me. How is it going to benefit them? It ain't. There's no benefit for them. It's a fictional entity. It's 3 letters. It's IRS or USA. How is it going to benefit from taking anything from a man? It's not. It's never going to change it. It's still going to be IRS. It's still going to be the United States of America. It's not going to benefit the United States of America or IRS to take something from me. It doesn't have hands. It doesn't have arms. It doesn't have legs. It can't hold it. They can't possess it.
Well, of course, the IRS operates on fear and intimidation.
There is no, okay. The IRS employees or the workers try to enforce fear and intimidation. The IRS is just 3 letters on a piece of paper.
Okay.
There is no IRS. It's a piece of paper with letters on it. Tomorrow they could change it to IRB. For some reason, they want to use the letter B from now on instead of the letter S. It's like, oh, the poor IRS died. Oh, I guess we better give it a funeral. Who's gonna give the eulogy?
Yeah, nobody's gonna show up at the wake. That's for sure.
It's gonna be an IRB tomorrow, or an IRT, or an IRC instead of IRS. It's still gonna function the way it always does, with a man or woman controlling it. IRS is never going to feel that it no longer exists. And now it's IRC. It's never going to feel anything. It's never going to be consciously aware that it is no longer called IRS. It's not going to have any feelings to say, "Oh, now you're calling me IRC. I'm so embarrassed. You stripped me of my name. Oh, I'm so sad." It's ridiculous. So, yeah, the judge said something funny, too. He said to the man, and this man didn't know how to say it as fast as I could say stuff. The judge said to the man, he says, well, all Americans pay their taxes. And I was going to say, that's how dumb these judges are. He said, all Americans pay their taxes. I was like, wait a second, you mean like American Indians, who live on reservations? Or you mean like Eskimos who live in the Arctic Circle? Or America means from the North Pole to the South Pole, Atlantic to Pacific. Hawaiians? You mean Hondurans? They're Central America, so we're North American. I mean, the judge said, well, all Americans pay taxes. Really? All American. You mean from the North Pole to South Pole, Atlantic to Pacific, the Americas. The Americas, they go from North Pole to South Pole. Everybody pays. All Americans pay. Really? So you're saying Cubans are also from North America. People from Cuba are from North America. Are you telling me they pay taxes, Your Honor? And the judge would say, well, you know what I mean. No, well then, no, Judge. you're implying things, and you know good law has to be expressed, not implied. So if you're going to open your mouth in this court, Judge, you better be dead on. You're going to judge me, and you don't even know where the Americans lie. It's like, holy cow, man! You're like, you better get somebody else in here before everybody gets hurt, especially me. But yeah, he flew me on down there, and like I said, I had no freaking idea. It was so funny when we were going into the courthouse. I told him, man, leave your window open in your car just in case you get held in contempt of court, so I could grab my bags, call a taxi, and get to the airport tomorrow morning. I had no idea who he was and why in the world were we in the United States District Court. It made no sense. He kept telling me it's IRS, IRS, IRS. So why are we not in an IRS tax court? I don't understand. So basically,
he made me roll down the window so he had a way out in case I said something wrong.
Oh yeah, in case he went crazy, and because the prosecutor was trying to egg him on, trying to say he was a tax protester, and he was trying to make this man get mad. He was trying to get the man upset. But the man hung out with me for like 2 days, and I kept trying to show him that forget about all this tax protester nonsense. Forget about all this. She said somebody named Meredith or somebody. Like something vulture. Some nonsense about that. So I realized he was really deep into the whole tax
protester stuff.
Right. So it's like, uh-oh. I said, you better leave your car door open so I can get my luggage when they take you away to jail. I really did say that to him. I think he was trying to figure out what's this guy going on about? What do you mean we get arrested? I was like, dude, you have no idea how easy it is to get held in contempt of court or to be taken away for a psychological evaluation. I have no idea how he was all of a sudden going to start saying, I'm a free man on the land and I don't have to pay taxes. Like, oh, geez. Just say, oh, no. But it worked out. We had a good time in court. And he has a whole year before the trial even begins. And we got a lot of time. And the whole line of what I'm going after is the judgment that the IRS has against him. I'm going to go after the judgment, and I'm going to say, wait a second. Like if we get a trial by jury, I'm going to say to the jury, wait a second. The IRS gets a judgment in an IRS tax court with an IRS judge and an IRS prosecutor and an IRS public defender. So how is this judgment not biased? This man has, they said that he hadn't paid on his debt. Why didn't they take him to the local county court like everybody else does? Everybody goes, if you owe me a debt, I'm going to take it to the local county court. Why didn't the IRS take this man to the local county court like everybody else? Okay, let me put it this way. Okay, say it's the Karl Lentz court, and Karl Lentz hires the attorneys, Karl Lentz hires the defenders, the public defenders, Karl Lentz hires the prosecutors. Karl Lentz has so much freaking money, he's got more money than the United States of America. So Karl sets up his own courtroom with his own judges, and he calls it the Karl Lentz District Court. What's the odds of anybody, including the United States, getting a fair trial in Karl Lentz court, especially when it's against Karl Lentz? So that's what I'm going to basically do for this man, is like basically saying, how could this man got a fair trial in the United States tax court when the United States is the prosecutor? The United States is, the judge is appointed by, members of the United States. The public defenders, work for the United States. The building is called the United States Tax Court. How is this man going to get a fair trial in the United States Tax Court? Why didn't the IRS take him into a local county court if he actually owed a debt? Because if they got the judgment from the local county court, the IRS could go right to the county sheriff's department the very next day and say, enforce this judgment. Take that man's house. Why didn't they just do that? It would take them 21, 22 days to make the whole debt and collecting on this man's house magic happen. Why aren't they doing it like everybody else? Why are they special? Why do they have the right to take people into their own courts, under their own rules, and under their own attorneys? And this man can't he has to act under the United States tax rules. And the United States tax agency and tax agents are coming after him and in the United States tax court, and he can only move under the rules of the United States tax court, which certainly aren't designed to help him. So how was that judgment that they have against him fair? It was fair and just. How did that happen? It isn't fair. It wasn't just. It was an unfair and unjust trial, and it's a mockery of justice. It's a sham. That was a whole sham court. They just went through the motions. They just went through the make-believe that we're giving this man a fair trial. Like I told him before, like I told him when we were out in the parking lot, I said to him, look, I said, see the clock? It's 7:43, okay? Guess what? The IRS is like mommy. Mommy will say it's 9 o'clock, go to bed. And you could say to Mom, look, Mom, the clock says 7:43. Mom says, no, it's 9 o'clock, go to bed. But Mom, it's 7:43. Mom will say, you say it again, and you won't come out of your room for 2 days. I'll hold you in contempt. And you say, no, Mom, it's 7:43. Look, Mom, it's 7:43. It doesn't matter. It's Mom's rules. It's Mom's house. It's Mom's way, and it's going to go. Same thing with the tax court. You're like, wait a second, don't I have the right to cross-examine my accuser? No. But wait a second, everybody else does. Well, not in our court, you don't. Oh, so you got a special court? Yes. Because if we let you cross-examine the accuser, you'd win. Well, that sounds fair. Well, no, then we'd lose all the time. When we don't set up the tax court for the United States to lose, we set up the United States tax court for the United States to win. But in every other courthouse in the country, we could cross-examine our accusers. Well, that's in every other court. But this court is a special court. This court, we have to win. And you have to lose. We have to show the whole world, give you an example. You lose, so we could put you in jail. So nobody even thinks about challenging us as authority and control over them. Because he said there's some famous lady named Meredith who wrote some books. What was her name? Do you remember?
Lynn Meredith. She wrote Vultures in Eagles' Clothing, How to Cook a Vulture, and Vultures for Dessert.
And you said she's sitting in jail.
She's sitting in jail.
And she had lots of money?
I don't know much about her other than the fact that she was an author who tried to help people with the tax system. And so the system came after her and cooked her for dessert.
And what court did they hold her trial in?
I do not know.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if it was a local county court. Because like I said, if anybody wanted to drag me into the United States tax court, I said, whoa. The highest court where I live is the county court. We're going to take this to the county court. This is the highest law. This is the highest court of this land. It's the county court. We're going into the county court. You think if I've done wrong, if you said I've done wrong in the county that I live in, you bring me into the county court where I live in. You don't bring me over to your county. You don't bring me over to your state. You don't bring me over to your country. Or if anything, anybody should have just asked the United States. It's like, wait a second. Why are we holding in the United States of America versus Bob in the United States court? Why aren't we holding the United States of America versus Bob in a Cuban court or a Switzerland court or a Belgium court? Why are we having the United States of America versus Bob in the United States court? How would you like the United States of America if it was United States of America versus Bob in Bob's court? How would you like to be Sonya in Bob's court? What do you think would happen to the United States of America? You'd lose. You see what I'm trying to say? So this is my whole logic in trying to get people to understand this, and like a jury to understand something so simple. How are you going to win when it's USA, United States of America, versus any man or any woman in the United States court? That's ridiculous. Why don't people ask for a change of venue and say, wait a second, are you taking me into the United States tax court, and you're the United States tax agent, and the United States tax agency is taking me to the United States tax court? No, we're going to need a change of venue. Take me over to Belgium. Take me over to Switzerland. Take me over to France. Take me over to Cuba. hold your trial over there. Hold me in an impartial country, a neutral country. Hold me in a country that doesn't really like America, doesn't really like the United States of America. I want a trial there. Why do people just say, okay, I could get a fair trial here in the United States tax court against the United States tax agents and against the United States tax agencies? Oh, I could definitely get a fair trial here. I don't know why they just don't ask for a change of venue. They take me to my local county court where my neighbors, who are my peers, will judge me. Just like everybody else has to do. Just like if I was going to sue Mr. Ewing, I'd have to go down to Denton County, and I'd have to go to Denton County Court, and I'd have to sue him in Denton County. You got to take the suit to the defendant. The defendant doesn't have to travel to me in Virginia or Alaska or wherever I happen to be. I have to go to him. And his peers are going to determine whether or not he's done wrong. And his peers are going to say, no, he's doing fine. This is how we played in Texas. Like, oh, really? I didn't know. Well, then don't come to Texas unless you know the rules. He didn't do anything wrong. What he did was legitimate and proper and just and fair. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Texas got some strange rules. Well, that's what happens when you step into another world, when you step into another jurisdiction. You better know the rules of the game.
Well, they don't tell you the rules of the game, that's for sure.
Well, the rules of the game are their rules, and they're designed for them. Those rules, their rules are designed that you can't speak, you can't talk back, you can't ask questions, you can't ask for exhibits, you can't ask. It's like asking mommy. Saying, Mommy, the clock says 7:43. Why do you keep saying it's 9 o'clock, Mommy? Well, that's because I make the rules, and if you don't like when I make the rules, I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. I'm going to take everything away from you. I'm going to take your bicycle. I'm going to take everything from you. I'm going to take all the money from your piggy bank. I'm going to take everything from you. You just agree with me that it's 9 o'clock or else. Or you're going to wish you agreed with me. And then you're going to wish that you agreed to play by Mommy's rules. So, yeah, like I said, this is the man who brought me to Texas. So it was just one of those, like, an emergency kind of things, and I always really wanted to go into a tax court, and I didn't go into a tax court. I went into a district court. But it was still interesting. It's just a little bit different, because when I was sitting there, I had already wrote out something for him, and I had already rehearsed stuff for him to say in open court. And then when I was sitting in the open court, listening to somebody else's case, I was like, wait a second, this isn't tax court. This is a district court. And then I came out of the courtroom and I asked him, do you have a judgment against you? And he's like, yes. From a tax court? Yes. Now it makes sense to me. Why would sitting in the United States District Court? Now I get it. Here, let me rewrite all this stuff for you real quick. And then he put the notice into the court like that. He gave the judge a very simple letter. Just what do you remember what the letter basically said there, Christopher?
Right. Basically, it said, I am a man, and I want to know if there's a claim before the court by another man. I've said that if the complaint is executed, it will cause harm to a man. The judgment. Right.
If the IRS tax judgment, if the judgment is executed. If the judgment from the IRS court is granted by this court, and this court executes the judgment, grants them their order, their wish to, seize my house, a man will be harmed. Does that kind of make sense? What we wrote?
Right.
And then the man said to you, it's like, well, that's nice that you're a man and you're going to be harmed, but you owe a debt. And you didn't have the wherewithal to say, sir, that's obscene. You can't tell me that I owe you a dime or a dollar, so you have the right to break my arms or break my legs. That's Gestapo. That's mafia talking. That's mafia logic. Because I owe them a dollar, they could break my legs and arms. Well, yes, they can harm you because you owe a debt. I couldn't believe the judge said that. And like I said, maybe you'll understand a little bit better, Mr. Ewing, how I would have went bananas in court and said, what did you just say? Did you just say that it's okay for that man to cause me harm because I owe a debt? Is that what you said? Yes. Is that what happens with the Gambinos when you owe a debt to the Gambinos? It's okay for the Gambinos to cause you harm because you owe them a debt. I can imagine what the judge would have said. He said, well, that's different. How is it different? Tell me how that's different. If I owe a debt to the Gambinos and they break my legs or they take my house or drive me out of my house or bring their gunmen down there and force me out of my house and take over my house, how is that any effing different than you telling that man it's okay for us to bring our guns into my house and kick me out of my house, kick my children out of my house, and that's okay because I owe them $5, because I owe them 50 cents, because I owe them some pieces of paper that's not backed by silver or gold.
Right.
How is that fair and just? How is that proper? How is that okay that they could cause me harm? Again, Judge, how is that okay? See, like I said, you didn't jump them like I would have jumped them. But maybe after talking to me for a year, next year you'll be ready for something like that.
Right.
That it's not okay to harm any man at any time for any reason. Especially on a debt. That's insane. That's obscene.
Well, we don't have any debtors' prisons in Texas. I don't know about.
Well, like I said, if you owe a debt to the IRS, they're going to come in there with gunmen and they're going to cause you harm. And it's okie dokie with the judges. It's like, hey, that's fine. Well, the Gambinos do the same thing. Oh, well, no, that's not okay for them to do it. But it's okay for us to do it. That's obscene.
Gotcha.
You know, the government wasn't created to cause harm to man, period. No harm. Not a little harm. Not $1 worth of harm. Not 1 penny's harm. No harm. No harm means no harm. You're my creation. I created you. You caused me no harm. Zero harm. Zilch. Nada. None. Not one hair, not one breath, not one drop of blood. Zero. None. I created you. But like I said, you got a whole year to listen to my shows, and I say this kind of stuff a billion times. And I'm just trying to get this through common sense to common people to understand. Harm is harm. Injury is injury. Wrong is wrong. And just because you did something wrong, because you didn't file a piece of paper a proper way, or you left a digit off, or a number 0 was there instead of there, and whatever reason, I don't give a damn. There's still no reason to hurt you for an accounting error. It's an accounting error. Nobody got harmed. The United States can never show any damages because you failed to pay $3, $300, $3 million, $3 billion. They're never going to show any harm. And they have to show harm. They have a legitimate case before the court. You have to show the wrong and you have to prove the damage. There is no damage because you didn't pay something to a fictional entity. The fictional entity is functioning just fine. It still exists on a 2-piece of paper dimensional world. It's okay. It's not bleeding. It didn't go without a meal. It's doing fine.
Well, the entire charade is that he did not do his fair share.
Okay.
Everybody else pays taxes. Why not him? What makes him think he's exempt?
Harm is harm. You still can't harm somebody. No excuse. It's like they always tell people, guys with men, with women, when the wife says stop, it means stop. When a girlfriend says stop, it means stop. It doesn't mean like, well, a little bit more. No, it means stop. Or you're going to jail because you caused the harm. You caused their injury. You're going to jail. Stop means stop. Not a little stop. Not maybe stop. Stop means stop. Same thing with the government. You're causing man harm. I don't care if it's one breath. I don't care if it's one hair. I don't care if it's one drop. If you're a man and you're saying that you're cloaked under a shield or a badge or a robe, and it's okay to cause harm to men, that's obscene. That's not why we put you on the bench. That's not why we put a badge on your shoulder. That's not why we cloak you under the authority of the law. That's not why we put you on to function within the society, is to cause a man harm. It better be for a damn good reason other than a debt. It better be for a damn good reason other than zeros and ones on a digit, on a slide scale, and on a ledger sheet. It better be for a damn good reason you harmed that man. It better be because you saw him harming another man and you had to protect that other man. You better have a damn good reason why you touched another man or why you trespassed on another man's property. You better have a damn good reason why. And it better not be because of a debt. It's like if I'm stupid enough to let somebody borrow money, if I'm stupid enough to let somebody borrow money and I don't get paid, that's my problem. But that doesn't give me the right to go break his legs. It just means, look, don't let the guy borrow any money again. Or why don't you just let him borrow $1 or $2 and see if he was good for $1 or $2? Why did you give him that much money if you couldn't afford to lose it? But you certainly don't go over there and say, you know what, you didn't pay me my money, I'm going to break your legs. I'm going to take your house. I'm going to come in here with gunmen, force you out of the house, and I'm going to take over your house. That's basically what happened in Texas with some Mexican bad guys going down to the Texas border and driving farmers out of the house and say, well, we got guns. We're going to take over your house. You come back here and try to get it back and we'll kill you. It's baloney. It doesn't make it right. It's not proper. It's not just because you owe a debt. I don't care what everybody else is doing. Oh, everybody else is paying their fair share. Okay, so break your legs? No. That's ridiculous. So now we'll just turn our backs on you. Society will shun you. Because you won't pitch in and give you a fair share, then society will turn its back on you. But we're not going to break your legs. When you come asking for the United States for help, when you need Social Security in the future, or you need, or you want to open, or you want to, file a 1099 as a corporation, no, we're just going to ignore you. We'll just say, no, you're not part of our society. You're not going to be part of the club. We're not going to give you welfare. We're not going to support you monetarily. You go figure it out on your own. You want to be part of our society? Fine. We don't want to do the obligation to you. But so, like I said, you got a whole year. You got a whole year. You're going to do fine. It's funny. Somebody said, "Let's squat in a mansion." Squat in a mansion. No. How are you going? No, that's okay. I'm just reading the chat board. But how you doing, Bali? Are you still awake? It looks like Bali went off the air. Yeah, I think Bali went off the air.
Well, one of the things that's really exciting is that we have an opportunity to reverse a course of the IRS and get some clear answers to some questions that many people have wanted to know for years.
Right. That's what one good thing that we heard in court was that the judge said that he was trying to intimidate Mr. Ewing and saying you have to give disclosure to the IRS. You have to, what was it that he was saying exactly?
No, what he was doing was he was saying we can have court in 1 month. I'm scheduled for that.
No. Mr. Ewing, he said, you have some paperwork that was delivered to you. You were supposed to fully fill it out.
Oh, he was talking about me making a disposition in regard to the complaint so that I could provide my contentions to their complaint.
Right. And the reason why you didn't fill it out, you told him, is why?
I said, sir, it's very simple. I provided a very cogent, very simple violation of the rules of civil procedure that the opposition failed to file the process in a timely manner. They missed it by 30 days, and if a rule is a rule, it's a rule, and you should dismiss this. And he said, well, I've been too busy. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I haven't filed an answer.
Yeah, what Mr. Ewing did is Mr. Ewing filed a few motions. And one of the motions was the case against me in this court should be dismissed because they had a certain allotted amount of time in which to proceed. And they allowed that time to lapse. So if they have to be bound, well, if I have to be bound by the rules, the IRS and the federal prosecutor should both be bound by the rules. So the judge was like, well, I'm very busy, and I didn't have time to read your motions, and I'll have somebody write up a brief, and, I'll take a look at it when I got some time. So he just totally blew Mr. Ewing off. He was just like, yeah, that's right. You did write something. You know what? But you're not Barack Obama. You're not anybody important. So you know what? You're not Eric Holder. So you know what? I really don't care. So you know what? I'm going to have somebody write up a nice little brief here. I'm going to get one of these little girls over here, the interns, write up a little cut, copy, and paste something for me, and I'm going to sign it and deny it. So there you go, sir. That's basically what he was saying. that go ahead, follow all the freaking motions you want. You know what? I'm going to basically just cut, copy, and paste something as an answer, and I'm going to deny you anyway. So let's move ahead with the trial. And then they want to basically try to set the trial in a month or two. So good thing for you that you talked to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor agreed with you that you were going to have that final trial. The trial was going to start on May 1st, 24th, 15th, and he was trying to weasel out of it.
What you found out in the interim is that this judge is going to be retiring before the court case. Remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He tried to pretend that he didn't remember talking to you about a schedule that was going to be somewhere in 2015. He's like, what? No, I don't recall. And then the judge said, oh, I got the scheduling conference that you had with this man, right here in front of me, and it clearly says that you agreed on May 1st, 2015. And the guy's like, damn, I wanted to get this over in a month. He's like, oh my God, now I got to listen to this guy, Mr. Ewing, for a whole freaking year. Now I got to listen to interrogatories and dispositional hearings, and now he's going to have the right to request examine my witnesses and examine all the evidence that we're going to present in the trial. Oh my God, this guy's got a whole freaking year now to mess with the United States or America's prosecutor's office. He's like, oh my God. The prosecutor's like, I can't believe this. And like I said to Mr. Ewing, I said, you know what? They're probably going to just say, you know what? Keep your house. It's worth $2 to us anyway. We print the money. We don't care. You know what? Just keep your house. And, we'll just stop asking these silly questions and let's just let bygones be bygones and let's just let it drop. And I guarantee Mr. Ewing would be like, oh, cool, let's just let this drop. Let's just, great, I keep my house, hooray, tremendous victory, I win. The only problem is, just like the judge pointed out to the prosecutor, he says, why aren't you pursuing Mr. Ewing for 2003 to 2008 yet? Why did you stop at 1995 to 2000? Why aren't you pursuing him? And what did they say?
I think they said they would get around to it afterwards.
Yeah, maybe sometime, depending on what happens with this case. So if they let you win this case, they're going to come after you for 2003 and 2008. And then you're really going to come after the house. So the only option you have is to fully expose them for what they are. It's funny. You can't make a deal with the devil. You can't. You're going to get burned. There's no way you can make a deal with the devil. He's got every trick up the sleeve. There's no way. So like I said, they asked me that so many times about my child and my children in the state of Alabama. The judge looked at me on the 30th trial. The new judge looked at me and he says to the state of Alabama, what do you want Karl to do to get back his kids? What do you want him to do? Like, well, we just want him to do a psychological evaluation, and he could have his mom do the psychological evaluation. He'd have his best friend, his brother do it. We don't care. We just want him to have a piece of paper in his court that says that Karl did a psychological evaluation. I evaluated Karl. My name is Bob Smith, and Karl is a fit man to be a fit parent. That's all we want him to do, is have somebody put a piece of paper in his court saying that he was psychologically evaluated in Virginia, Connecticut, New York, Canada, wherever he wants to get psychologically evaluated, any place. And we'll give him back his kids immediately. And the judge said, why won't you do that? I said, sir, if you told me to blink my eyes so I'll get my kids back, I'll staple my eyes so I can never blink. If you tell me to breathe one time and you'll give me back my kids, I will not blink. I will not breathe. I will pass out. I will not do anything you order me to do. I said, I'm a man. You're the public servant. You work for me, and I'm never going to submit to your jurisdiction or authority. He says, are you telling me that this has been going on all these years, and that's all you have to do? I said, absolutely. It'll go on to the day I die. I will never submit to your jurisdiction. I will never take any of your orders. I will never do it. I don't care if you just order me to blink one time, and you'll give me back my kids. I don't care if you order me to blink one time, and you'll give me $1 million and my kids. I won't do it. I will never take an order from you. You work for me. And I will never show to the world that I obeyed you. a public servant. I'm never going to show joinder. I'm never going to show submission. I'm never going to show that I petitioned you. I petition God for relief. I don't petition a man in a black robe. I petition God for my relief. I don't petition a black robed one. I don't pray to you. I don't beg you. So he's like, you've got to be kidding me. This would have all been over years ago. Yes. They said, yes, years ago. But he won't do it. That's right. I won't submit to your jurisdiction or your authority. I won't do it. You can throw me, you can do whatever you want. Take my kids from me forever. I don't care. You could send me you could send my children's fingers back one at a time in a box. I'm not going to do it. I will not do anything that you order me to do. I will not do it. It will never happen. So then that judge realized, holy crap, this guy is intense. So that's the judge who helped me. That's the guy who said to me, approach the bench, and then he gave me his business card. And he said, let me pass final judgment today so you can file an appeal and get a copy of that contract that we can't get from the state. So he realized, he might as well join me because I'm not going to stop. So it worked out great, and that's why I'm on the radio now, and I'm teaching people all I did do. So if I submitted to their jurisdiction or authority 2, 3, 4 years into it, I wouldn't be on the show right now. I wouldn't have a show. I would have never met Mr. Ewing. I would have had my kids, and I'd be playing soccer with them. Or I would have got my kids, and then they would have thrown a bag of weed in my car or a bag of crack or a bag of crystal meth, and I'd be sitting in jail for 20 years. So, no, you can't work a deal with the devil. You can't. They'll always figure out a way to burn you. As soon as
I actually had a friend who went to work for the Dallas Police Department. And when he went to work for the Dallas Police Department, he was really excited to be on the team. And when he graduated, they gave him 3 joints, 3 bags of cocaine, and an empty gun. And he said, "What's this for?" And they said, "This is for the cases where you know the guy is guilty, but you don't have any evidence, so you can plant it."
Yeah. And that's what I tried to tell him. That's what I said to the judge. I said, what makes you think I'd be crazy enough? Because when the kids came back to me from Alabama, I said, what makes you think I'd be crazy enough to take possession of the children in Alabama? You're going to fly them to Virginia. I'm not going to touch them in the state of Alabama. I'm not going to be seen with them. I'm not going to hold them. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to allow you to accuse me of doing anything wrong. You're going to put them on a plane. You're going to fly them home. And that's what they did. So, yeah, I'm not going to get planted. I'm not going to let them say, like, oh, tremendous victory, and the kids run into me in the courthouse, yay, and I load them all up in a nice little minivan, yay. I roll 2 feet out of the courthouse, and then I get stopped, and there's 10,000 pounds of crystal meth in the trunk of my car, or the minivan. I was like, how did that get there? It's like, yeah, well, you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. I'm glad you enjoyed seeing your children for 2 seconds, because I'm never going to see you again. Say goodbye to daddy, kids. He's going to jail. I don't trust them. Like I said, when anybody doesn't believe me and thinks that this is fantasy, the Attorney General for the state of Alabama's name is Troy King, Jr., okay? He had this big campaign against, believe it or not, sex toys in the state of Alabama. He closed up every kind of sex shop that you can know, any kind of party who was trying to do things on the Internet. He would prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. Well, this Troy King, Jr., and you could Google his name, got busted by his wife on a Sunday, like he was supposed to be in church, with the homecoming king of Troy University. Not the homecoming queen he got busted with in his wife's bed. No, he got busted with the homecoming king of Troy University. Did he get arrested? No. Did he get kicked out of office? No. I mean, everybody in the state of Alabama laughed their ass off. It's like, oh, this good godly Christian who prosecutes little old ladies for taking state welfare. Well, after the husband died, he actually put some little old lady in jail for 2 years because when her husband died, she was supposed to report immediately his death so the checks would stop. Well, she didn't. She didn't do it for like 3 or 4 months. She just kept collecting his checks. Well, he said, well, we got to put her in jail to teach everybody in the state of Alabama. that you can't do, criminal acts, you can't do wrong in the state of Alabama on my watch. And he put her in jail for freaking 2 years, a little old lady. So he thought he was like tough on crime. So like I said, God got him back by getting him busted by his wife on a Sunday in her bed because he thought she was visiting her family someplace else with the homecoming king of Troy University. So if people don't believe me, Google it. Google his name. And then you can understand the kind of sordid, twisted, demented people that are running the government of the state of Alabama. Let's put it this way. 3 of the last 4 state of Alabama governors are sitting in federal prison.
Say again?
3 of the last 4 state of Alabama governors are in federal prison.
George Wall's got it, so he's gone.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's just beyond evil, the people who work for the government down there. The people who control the government in Alabama. It's just totally insane. I mean, they're worldwide known. They're worldwide renowned that Alabama is just twisted. You say to somebody in England or Germany, it's like, oh, Alabama. Like, oh, all those people that hate black people, all those crazy governors, all those crazy politicians from Alabama. It's like, yeah, like 80% of the people in Alabama want to be a politician because that's where the money's at. They all know if they could become a state legislator or a governor or an attorney general, they all know that they could steer contracts to their friends and families, like for $200 toilet seats or a light bulb in the office. They could sell them for $10 each. They could get the state contract. It's always been a scam like that in the state of Alabama and Mississippi. But Alabama's got a worldwide reputation of just being corrupt. So like I said, I was not going to get into any kind of an agreement or any kind of contract or any kind of deal with the state of Alabama. They are masters of spitting it around and just destroying you, and destroying your life and destroying your world. They're masters at it. They're master manipulators. They know every trick in a book. It's like making a deal with the devil. You're going to lose. No matter how smart you think you are, you're going to lose. You're going to figure out a way to burn you.
Well, that's the reason I haven't made a deal with the IRS.
That's right. I mean, but like I said, if they tried to make a deal, I'm just trying to say to you and anybody else, you better be careful who you make a deal with, who you intercourse with. You better be real careful because I explained to you what intercourse was.
Right.
And it meant a meeting. Like
commerce or exchange.
Right. It's a mutual meeting. It's a meeting. It's a business transaction. It's intercourse. So if you intercourse with the devil, you're going to get burned. You intercourse with the IRS, you're going to walk away with something you can't wipe off. So there's no sense making a deal with these IRSs or these governments of Alabama. There's no sense making a deal with them. You're going to get burned. They're not honorable. They're not decent. They'll throw each other under the bus. And thank God that guy, Troy King's wife, I guarantee you when Troy King got busted by his wife in bed with that boy, I guarantee he begged his wife, oh, please don't take this to the press. Please don't tell anybody. Please, honey, don't do this to me. You'll destroy our careers. Oh, I'm lined up to be the next governor of the state of Alabama. Please, honey, don't do this to me. Thank God she said, F you, buddy. F you. I'm going to expose you to the whole damn world. Because at that time, only she knew that he was sleeping with the boy, and she didn't have to say anything to anybody. Thank God she came out to the whole world and said, hey, my husband, he's a creep. He's a pervert. Thank God she did that. He could have said, look, honey, I'll give you $1 million diamond ring. I'll buy you a limousine. I'll buy you a jet plane. You're going to be the next governor, wife of the state of Alabama. Don't throw this all away, honey. Don't do this to us. Thank God she said, F you. Or people wouldn't believe what I have to say about the guy. They'd say, oh, Carl, you're just sour grapes because you must have done something wrong, and he's a good, godly man. And see, he's the new governor of Alabama. See, Carl, he's the good man, and you're the bad man. I mean, you can't write this stuff. I mean, this stuff is like I said, you couldn't write this story. You couldn't write these people that I've had to deal with in a novel. Nobody believe it. Nobody would believe it. That's who I am and that's who they are. They wouldn't believe it. They'd say, "Oh, that's fairy tales. That's ridiculous." The Attorney General of the state would never be caught sleeping with a college boy. That's insane. He's the number one prosecutor of any kind of sexual deviance in the state of Alabama. He puts them all in jail. He was the number one against, I'm going to get all these gay people and I'm going to bash them. Then I'm going to do this sodomy in my state while I'm the Attorney General. And then he gets busted with a college boy in his wife's bed on a Sunday.
Well, there's a higher law that says you reap what you sow.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. And if I made a crazy story like this, nobody'd believe it. They say, "Come on, Carl. What do you mean the Attorney General, he's kind of, it's like, oh, now you're just making this stuff, Carl, because you don't like him or he gave a ruling against you." They're like, "No, man, it's public knowledge, man. Just Google it." And you say, "Holy crap." So like I said, when people listen to this show, they're going to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm by the computer right now. Let me Google that. Let me say Troy King Jr. busted with the University of Troy, homecoming king. Not the queen, homecoming some college boy." And he was the number one guy who's like, "Oh, we're going to get all these sodomites. We're going to get all these people who buy sex toys, and we're going to put them in jail." Yeah, he's going to take everybody's sex toys so he could use them. But let me see if there's anybody else who wants to say anything. But yeah, so did it go a little different than you thought it was going to go, Mr. Ewing, when I was down there in Texas? I mean, did it kind of go the way you wanted it to go, or did it make any sense what I was doing, or are you happy, you're mad, you're sad?
Well, what I wanted it to be said, done, and over with.
Yeah.
However, the law doesn't work like that. The process doesn't work like that. But I was happy that you were there because you knew what you were doing, and I knew that I didn't. And I'm happy that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a freight train.
I think everything's going to work out just fine. I can't believe we got a whole year, and you got all this time to study and try to figure out what's going on. And you got the right for discovery now because the judge said to you, you have to give the IRS disclosure. And then he actually read the rule out in open court. And then he said the plaintiff has also got to give full disclosure. So when I heard that, it's like, holy cow, because you can see he was stuttering on plaintiff also has to provide full disclosure. You can see he was stuttering. He's like, and the plaintiff,
Well, what was interesting was that the Mr. Fisher with the prosecution said, "Listen, we don't think we're going to have any discovery questions, any issues." And the judge looked at me and said, "You think you'll have any issues, Mr. Ewing?" I said, "Well, hell's bells. I've been waiting all my life to get answers to my questions. I knew I was going to finally get my day in court, and this is it."
Yep.
And so I think that my discovery will take at least 6 months.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have a lot of questions to answer.
Right. So like I said to the people who were listening on this call, when I said this to Mr. Ewing in open court, I was listening to this, and I was laughing, saying this is a tax protester's dream come true because he can't get discovery in the United States tax court because that's not according to their rules. He can't do it, and they don't have to provide it. But then now, in the United States District Court, under the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, and they have to participate, because if they don't participate, what happens, Mr. Ewing?
Well, if they don't participate, they're going to get sanctioned by the judge, and all their testimony is going to become incompetent and irrelevant.
That's right. There you go. First of all, they're going to get sanctioned, which means they could also be monetarily sanctioned. And you could say because they're delaying to answer, your interrogatories or they're failing to move discovery, it's costing you $1,000 a day.
Say again?
What part did you not hear?
Oh, my phone was breaking up. I didn't hear what you asked me.
Well, remember what I was explaining to you about interrogatories, that the court can sanction them, okay, and they can also sanction them monetarily, that if they don't answer, they're holding up your ability to create a defense, which you can require them to pay $1,000 a day in fines or penalties until they do answer, because it's delaying your right to a fair and speedy trial. Or let me put it this way. If Mr. Ewing, if you don't give the IRS full disclosure, the IRS could go to the U.S. Marshals, and they could go to a court, and they could get an order to come into your house, seize your computer, seize your files, and seize all your documents, right?
Right.
You could do that to them. You could go and say, look, they're not cooperating in discovery. I want to seize the IRS computers, the IRS case file. I want to see if they're doing this to anybody else other than me. I want to do this for the greater good. I want to help all of these other people that are being maliciously prosecuted like I have been. So I want to do this for the greater good. I want all their records. I want all of the people that they've done the same situation in court, the same procedure, the same taking people's houses. I want every single person that they've ever taken their house, and I want their case files as well. I want to see if this is systemic. I want to see if this is a pattern. I want to see if this is like racketeering. So, I mean, you could write a hell of a book. I mean, you could be a hell of a superstar.
We got to get paid somewhere or other.
No, well, like I said, God put you in that situation for some reason. And he brought me down to Texas for some reason because, like I said, the odds of you and I meeting is like 1,000,000 to 1. I mean, I think you called me up on a Monday or a Tuesday, and I was down there on Thursday. I've never done it.
That's basically the way it works.
And I've never done that. Bali was begging me for months to come to England. He started in July, and I finally said in November, okay, fine. He's like, oh, it's England. You know, everybody loves to come to England. I'll pay everything for you. And da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, you know what? No, I got better things to do, like sleep, take care of my house, take care of my animals. I got things to do. I got to clean laundry. I got things to do. I can't come to England. I'm too busy. Oh, I'm still super busy. I still got a house to clean, animals to tend to, cars and trucks and everything else that I got to take care of. But I don't know. For some reason, I just said, you know what? I'm going down. I'm going to go to Texas. You know what? I think this is a tax case, court case. Oh, boy, I'm going to go to the United States tax court. Oh, boy. Let's see if I can do something in the United States tax court because a lot of people seem to be having problems with taxes. Maybe I could figure something out. And even though it wasn't a tax court, it's even a little more fun. Because now you have the judge read into the rules, the judge read into the into the court the rules of discovery that the plaintiff also has to participate. So it's like, oh boy, this is going to be fun. So the plaintiff is the United States of America. So you get to ask the United States of America all kinds of questions. And the United States judge said it's true that the United States of America has to answer your discovery questions. That's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to find out who talks to the United States of America. Does Eric Holder talk to the United States of America? You send your questions to Barack Obama. Who answers to the United States of America?
Not a man.
Somebody answers for him. Somebody's right. In charge. Some man is in charge of Coca-Cola. Some man is in charge of the United States of America. Who is it?
Right.
We're going to find out. The judge gave you the green light to ask those questions. And then if the United States of America doesn't answer, you could have the judge sanction the United States of America. Dude, fine. So this is like a golden opportunity for stuff I could only imagine in my dreams.
I started writing down 10 questions.
Yeah.
been done.
To the United States of America. You have the right. He said you have the right to discovery from the plaintiff. So the plaintiff has got to now cooperate fully in discovery. Because the United States of America wants your house. I mean, I don't think you understand how massive this is. How amazing this is. But for some reason, I got my butt on a plane, flew to Texas, never met you in my life, and I said, you know what? I just got to go. I got so much stuff I have to do. It's not even funny. How much like dirty dishes I walked home to, cars that don't run, animals I need tending to, property, the fields. I got so much work, but thank God I was gone for 2-3 days. So I'm not that far behind, but it was worth it. I mean, this is massive. I never had anybody who was told by the United States judge, you have the right to get discovery from the plaintiff. Because if you don't cooperate, they're going to come after you.
Well, the most important thing that I got from this, from you, Carl, was the fact that the issue before the court is not whether or not the IRS is constitutional, but whether or not they are going to harm a man and whether or not my constitutional rights were violated.
Well, whether the big thing is right. Does the United States of America have the right to cause harm to a man? That's the big thing. Constitutional rights? I don't have any constitutional rights. You don't have constitutional rights. There's a contract. There's a contract that somebody wrote 200 years ago, and I'm not bound by it. It's not expressed. Your name's not in it. My name's not in it. So it's implied that I'm a United States citizen. It's implied that I'm an American. It's implied. It's not expressed. It's not written anywhere. I certainly didn't write it. So no, the United States of America have the right to harm a man. Period. Yes or no?
No.
That's all I want to know. Can the Gambinos hurt a man because the Gambino said that this man owes him a debt? No. The United States of America harm a man because the United States of America says this man owes it a debt? No. That simple of a question. That simple of a case. That's how I do things. So effing simple. Just that simple. That's all I want to know. When we go in court in front of a jury, that's all I want to know. It's the only thing I want to work on. Can the United States of America harm a man? Can the United States of America harm its creator? The United States of America has duties, obligations, responsibilities, and it's charted. It has a constitution. It's bound by a piece of paper. A man is not. So where does the creation have the right to hurt its creator, cause harm to its creator, and still think that it's allowed to exist? Just like Frankenstein. Frankenstein harmed one of its creators. Frankenstein had no trial, no jury. It went straight to an execution. The land rose up, the people rose up and killed the creature. And that's it. The creature has no rights to complain. It harmed man. It's that simple.
That will be a precedent in court that I don't think the IRS, the DOJ, or the United States.
Like I said, the United States of America, Canada, Mexico, Russia, China, they're all lovely, wonderful central governments. But when they get out of hand, when they cross over into the land of man, they're trespassing. They're guests. They have to act accordingly. They can't cause harm. If they want to intercourse with me, that's fine. But they better get my permission and my consent. And even if I give them my consent and my permission, like my wife, if I say stop, they have to stop immediately because they're causing me harm. They have to stop because I said stop. They can't keep doing it just because they have a license. Oh, the husband says to the wife, oh, I got a marriage license. I could keep causing you harm. No, you can't. I said stop. Stop, buddy. Stop. That means stop. That don't mean 2 more minutes, 2 more seconds. That means now. Well, I got a license. I own you. You got my last name. I got you by your name. The United States is going to say, well, I got you by your name. I got you by your Social Security number. I got you by your birth certificate. You still have to stop. You're causing a man harm. You have to stop. And if you don't stop, you're obscene. You're just fucking evil. Because you know what the word stop means. And even though you're wearing like a big wig or a big robe, or you went to Yale or Harvard, stop means stop. Every freaking moron knows what stop means. So, yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm glad I went to Texas. It was very interesting. It's taken a whole nother path. And it's just a great opportunity to see where this goes.
Well, it's going to open a lot of doors.
Yep, because like I said, half of my show is listened to by employees of central governments, like Canada, the United States, England. So half of my audience that listens to me are government employees, and the other half are just normal people like you and me. I mean, so what's funny is when I went to Canada, the Canadian couple said to me, you know, the sheriff that the Crown made listen to my shows wants to quit being a sheriff because he says, Carl's right. What am I doing to these people? Why am I causing harm to man? Why am I driving people out of their homes over a debt, over money? Why am I doing this? It's just paper. The bankers didn't get hurt. The bankers all got recouped their losses. They're all insured. They're all indemnified. Nobody went home without a meal. None of the insurance companies, the kids didn't get Christmas presents. Everybody's fine. Why are we hurting these little old ladies now out of their houses? Why are we hurting this old guy? Why are we hurting these people for? Why? Why are we causing harm? Why? Because of a debt? This is ridiculous. That's not what I became a sheriff for. That's not what I became a U.S. Marshal for. That's actually what a U.S. Marshal told me when I went down there in Roanoke, Virginia. He says, can you try to figure out a way to, help little old ladies stay in their homes? Because I did not become a U.S. Marshal to harm little old ladies. But the courts are forcing me to do this. The judges are ordering me to do this. The banks are ordering the courts to give me orders to go harm this little old lady. I know it's harming her. I did not want to become a U.S. Marshal to harm the little old ladies. Can you please figure out a way to help these little old ladies? I said, sorry, I got a lot on my plate. All I want to do is take care of children or disabled children. I don't know if I've got it in me to try to figure out how to stop the federal courts, the United States courts, the United States attorneys, the United States, banks from causing harm to man. I don't know if I got it in me. I don't know if I could do it. I'll give it a shot, but I don't know. I'm just one guy. And he's like, well, I'd appreciate it if you could figure something out. I said, I'll try. I'm just one guy. I could only do so much. So like I said, this kind of recording, this kind of show gets the message out. And maybe there's somebody smarter than me. That'd be even better. That could take what I do and go even further than I can. Hopefully somebody who's even smarter than me could put it together and say, wow, I got it now. I know how to do it. Call stopped here. I could keep going forward. So hopefully I'll just, drop, that little seed into somebody's brain and they'll come up with something great. Or maybe that seed will go into 100 people's brain and they'll get together. And I'll have 100 brains working on this instead of just me trying to figure it out. So,
the fact is, Carl, is that one of the biggest challenges in our nations is the fact that united we stand and divided we fall, and everybody is an island sinking in his own quicksand.
There's a lot of good people out there. I don't think it's that gloom and doom. Like I said, remember we were talking when the United States government closed up for business for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Nobody cared.
Right.
And the United States government realized, holy smokes, we better open up for business because if we let this go on for 3, 4, 5 months, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and nobody cares, they're going to laugh at us when we open the doors again. They're going to say, we don't need you. We got this covered. We're fine. We don't need you. The United States government, you can keep your doors closed. We don't need you. We got this covered. We figured out how to provide for our relatives and our soldiers and our Vietnam vets. We figured this out. We got it. We don't need you. Thank you anyway. You can keep the doors closed.
That's what we would really enjoy if they would just go away and leave us alone.
Oh, yeah, they realize that. They realize, The only people that I saw in England complaining on CNN was German and Japanese tourists that Yosemite State Park was closed, or 80-year-old World War II vets that some park was closed. It's the only people that CNN or anybody could find that was complaining that the United States wasn't open for business. Nobody else cared. It was funny as hell. I was like, wow, gloom and doom. The sky fell, like the Alex Jones kind of guy saying, oh, the United States government's going to close. Oh, there's going to be riots in the streets. The black people are going to burn down L.A. again. Oh, they're not going to get their food stamps and welfare. Oh, my God, here comes the end of the world as we know it. And nothing happened. A couple of Walmarts got a run on in some of those poor neighborhoods. A couple of Walmarts got all their food taken out of the store. Big deal. Walmart's insured. They got trillions. They're okay. So some free food got passed out to people. Oh, wow, whoopie-doo. I could live with that.